All right, episode 5. We are back with another episode of the Talkin College show, and I'm joined as always by my fellow podcast host, Lauren, all the way from Florida. Big news coming out of Florida this week. We won't dive into it just yet, but the top-rated quarterback prospect, DJ Lagway, is on his way out of Florida. He will not be a Gator next season. So Lauren seems pretty indifferent about that news.
Don't ever.
And as always, Sammo from the UK. How are we doing today, Sam?
I'm great, mate. You can't throw shade on my team, actually, so it's quite nice. I'll take that intro.
Sam, you know, you've got Hopkins, you've got Thierry Henry, and you've got a Florida cap on it. It's hard to tell exactly what team you could even pick out there.
It's because I like to call myself bandwagon. So whoever's in the right place for college football, I will do that. But I thought I'd represent and give Lauren a little bit of a feel from home, I suppose, in the fact that she was going to be bamboozled by loads of bad news today. So, yeah.
I don't care.
I'm very happily joined this evening by our first guest, Mr. Adam McCann-Gibbs, a fellow Irishman. And to those who don't know, Adam will be playing college football next season at a D1 university. That's a Division I university, which is essentially the best programs in America. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Honor to be on here to talk about my experience and chat with all these guys. So,
yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us. So I guess we should just begin with you then. If you want to give us a little bit of context into, you know, even before this whole American thing came up, because, you know, for anybody listening, there could be younger guys listening who maybe want to follow in that path. What did the process look like for you going from, you know, essentially Ireland and now playing football in America? You know, what was that experience like for you?
So like the experience, so like a bit of background on my whole situation is, so like I would have played soccer and Gaelic growing up, soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. And basically I saw sort of Charlie Smith, what he was doing. And that was, he literally lives about 15 minutes down the road. I'm from County Down, Newry, like in Ireland. And through leader kicking, who let's see has top here on. So they sort of provide a pathway for athletes that play Gaelic and soccer in Ireland, and they sort of help the transition from them sports to American football. So I started training about 2 years ago, possibly a year and a half ago, and they just sort of trained quite hard. Like transition was quite hard, to be honest. But no, literally for a year and a half I was training away with tag leader and dar leader, both a leader kicking, and they sort of helped me bridge that gap to sort of go and play in America. And now I'm committed to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So that was sort of how my journey went. Like sort of, it was pretty hectic and quite fast compared to Americans who basically spend their lives kicking a football. And I kicked one for a year and a half, and now I'm playing at the best colleges in America. So
yeah. Congratulations on that announcement as well. It's amazing news. So just the context there is that you were playing sports growing up, and then 18 months ago you started kicking in American football. Yeah. You know, but had you watched American football, or were you into the sport prior to that point?
Not one bit. No, I literally I wouldn't have known anything about American football at all, and just sort of I would have just been happily playing soccer and Gaelic, and then just sort of saw the opportunity to, like, I'm seeing boys sitting there kicking and punting, and I just thought I'll give this a crack, and sort of now I'm so hooked on it, like love it. My Sundays are spent watching the NFL. Whenever college football was on, was always watching, supporting all the boys that are over there at the minute. So like for the past 12 months, I've sort of really turned into like a fan of the sport, and it's incredible how it's just growing in the UK and Europe and everywhere, and it's just great to see.
Yeah. So you mentioned leader kicking there. Like how does that work? Did you just send them a message, said, hey, I'm interested, you know, but if you hadn't kicked a football before, like what did you expect? Like you sent them a message, you showed up to a tryout or whatever, and then you just start kicking a football for the first time in front of them.
Yeah, so basically sort of off the back of the IPP, the International Player Program, where Charlie Smith, who now kicks for the New Orleans Saints, I sort of had saw what he was doing, and he's a local lad like myself, just a bit older, and I went to a session. It was hosted by him and Leader kicking together. So I was like, I'll go down, have a crack at it, and then wasn't the best at the start, to be honest. It didn't click straight away, but just sort of went to another few sessions after, and just sort of got quite good at it, and just kept at it and kept training. And would have never kicked the ball, never would have thought of kicking it, but it took a while to transition over to it. But one day I just playing for a top university from not even kicking a ball 18 months ago. So
yeah, wow, it's an interesting story. So then you went to America, and then are you trying out in front of scouts? Are you going to colleges one by one, or are you going to like essentially like a kind of an NFL style combine where there's loads of scouts and different players and different people watching you?
Yeah, so I would have, alongside training at home, and Tag and Dara, who work at Leader Kicking, they have a lot of good relationships with coaches over in America. So they'll send your footage over and they'll sort of review it. But then what also helps is you go to Cole's kicking camps. So they sort of assess you and evaluate you and rank you in your class. So I was number 12 in the country for kicking. Punting, I was like number 80, but we had only went to one sort of session. So then on the back of that and on the back of the footage, Tag was sending over to coaches in America. That allowed me to go and then try out. So obviously tried out for Penn State, got an offer there, and was previously committed there. But then whenever I went to North Carolina, just off the back of the footage that like Tag and Dara had sent, they just have like built up trust between them all. That then enabled me to get a scholarship at UNC, which now I'm happily committed to. So.
Yeah, obviously interesting timing as well with the Aer Lingus Classic. UNC are playing in Dublin. So, was that an influence for your decision? Is your first college game now looking like it's going to be in Dublin?
Yeah, so that was definitely one of the factors that sort of pushed me towards going to UNC. Like, sort of no one over here, like at home, like my family, they wouldn't have known what American football was. So to be able to tell them, oh, my first game's an hour down the road from me, like, they're just amazed. Like, and it's class. It's like a bit of a homecoming. So that definitely was a factor to going to UNC, playing your first game there. It's a privilege to sort of show everyone what American football is about and show them my skills. So and just sort of promote the game in Ireland and the UK and all of Europe. So that was definitely a factor to going there.
Were you impressed with college campuses? I mean, I know Lauren here is a big. Lauren's very familiar with the Florida Gator campus. Personally, I haven't been on an American campus before, so I'm not quite sure, especially the sports facilities. I've heard, and I've watched YouTube videos of the, these insane, like the Alabama kind of like changing room and the Notre Dame gym. Like, the college scene over there, the money in it is just ridiculous. I mean, going from, because I played sports growing up in Ireland, it's a very modest, you're training in the rain and the pitch is waterlogged and then stepping onto a college football campus. I mean, it just must be a massive step up.
Yeah, you sort of like watching YouTube videos and seeing stuff and like say movies, that doesn't do it justice. So when you're actually there, it's like another world. It's like two different worlds. Like, cause like I'm used to literally playing in front of about 20 people on a Tuesday night. And then going over and seeing them games. Like I went to my first game, funnily enough, was the College Football Classic last year. So that was my first game. But then my first game in American turf was a Penn State game, and just seeing like even just sort of the facilities, the crowd. And then going to a UNC game, it was UNC v Duke, which is a good rivalry. Like it was amazing just to see the fans, the band, like your like facilities are state of the art. Like your changing rooms, like your locker rooms, it's class. It's another world, it looks like, and just I think it's literally on the rise. Like facilities keep getting better over there, and it's just amazing and blows me away every time I see them. Like
I joke about it all the time because I played. Sorry, go on, Sam.
So I was gonna have a quick question for you, mate. So obviously, from your football side, soccer. We'll say use soccer. Right, soccer. Before coming into this, I'm amazed by how little time you have from when the ball is snapped to you kicking the ball, obviously at any point as well, for field goals, etc., and extra points, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Is that because I play myself? Soccer. Again, soccer.
Yeah, soccer.
And I'm just amazed by how little time you have to obviously get that technique right. Obviously, if we were taking a free kick, right, you can sit there, do your deep breaths, and go for whatever you need to. Is that something that you've probably had to like get used to in terms of like how little time you have to deliver the perfect kick at any point?
Yeah, so like definitely that's something we incorporate into our training. So like for anyone that doesn't really know, like there's an operation time. So throughout a field goal, you have your snapper, your holder, and your kicker. So whenever the ball is snapped on the holder, you have about 1.2 seconds to get to the ball before you have guys coming and just like blocking you. So definitely you have to practice that there, or else you're just getting smashed. So that's the long and short of it. You're just gonna get smashed if you don't kick it. So that's definitely something you factor in, and it's like I've never played a game before. Like I'm going over there fresh, like never played a game, so that could be me getting smashed if I don't hurry up. So it's something you have to train for, and it's very quick and very fast, and it's unlike any other sport in the world.
Don't get folded up like a deck chair before you've actually done something successful, mate. We want to see you continue. So yeah, be careful on that one for sure.
Yeah.
So when exactly? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I was just gonna ask more about like the process that you went through, like because you mentioned like how you did decide to flip from Penn State to UNC. Like, what was like the moment where you felt like UNC was right for you? Like, what made you realize that you were going to decommit from Penn State to go to UNC?
So obviously there was just a bit of like coaching trouble at Penn State. James Franklin got fired, and just sort of there was a bit of uncertainty there. But like that sort of opened up my recruitment, and then I went and sort of UNC took me on an official visit. Sort of when was that? November time maybe, and I was there, and I was just sort of I have a lot of contact with my coach Ty have been mentioned, and just sort of seeing like the facilities and just meeting the people. They just made you like feel so welcome, and not that it was like the people at Penn State were absolutely great and they're amazing, but just sort of it felt more like a home vibe. It wasn't maybe as big, but like it felt like home. Like it was just real nice people, real nice campus, and like there's a good opportunity to start there, play your first game at home. There was a lot of great things about it that made me just think like I can see myself living here for the next 4 years and playing football at a high level. So that's sort of how my mind was whenever I visited there. But like it's 100% the right decision, and like it's just such a nice place, and I just can't wait to get out there full time.
Nice.
Has Charlie been in touch? Does he give you any tips on kicking?
Yeah. So I've congratulated Charlie a few times, and whenever I sort of was in the recruiting process, he just thought it was so cool that Bill Belichick he's obviously the head coach at UNC, so they just thought it was so cool that he was recruiting me, and just sort of me and Charlie, we sort of back and forth, not as much because he's just so busy all the time, but we just sort of congratulate him because he's doing so well at the minute.
Yeah, man. No, I think it's so cool. I mean, like I was only joking about it because I've watched college games. I played sports in college. As you said, like 20 people on a Sunday afternoon. It's like lashing rain. If the rain gets too heavy, like people are just leaving, and then you compare it to what's going on in America. You're talking about 100,000 people watching you. And I mean, like, is that something, like, so you've never played a game before? Even just mentioning Charlie there, he had a last second winner in the NFL for the Saints just last weekend. Like, how can you prepare for that level of pressure? You've got 80,000 people watching you. Your teams are level. There's 3 seconds to go in the game, and your number is called to go out on that field and kick 3 points to win the ball game. Because nothing in Ireland, whether you're playing Gaelic football or even soccer, like nothing can really prepare you for that level of pressure.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be like bland here. Like you can't prepare for them situations. Like physically, you can't get 80,000 people there, but it's just sort of like kicking. A lot of it's in your head. You have to know your process, know your steps, and trust your own ability. So like you can't really replicate that situation, but you can mentally prepare for it, which is like like things we work on in training. Like a lot of it's down to your kicking ability, but as well, you have to be able to sort of compete to the highest level in them situations. So like you have to be cool. You have to sort of be like cold-blooded, as like some of them say. So no, we can't physically prepare for them, but like mentally, that's a big thing. So that's a lot of work. I have to do a bit of work on that, because obviously you'll be playing in front of like a sold out Aviva stadium in Dublin with a lot of Irish people there, so there'll be a lot of pressure there, but sort of you have to rise to the occasion, and yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll be there, man. So,
Hopefully,
so if you get a last second kick, we'll all be watching on. So what does that process look like for you then, moving next? Like, when do you move to America? I mean, obviously the college football season starts essentially kind of the end of the summer. You know, like, are you moving over to America full time then in the spring? Like, are you just straight into practice? What does that look like? What does next year look like for you?
So I'm moving here in like 3 weeks time. So I'm early enrolling in January. So I think I'm going around the 4th of January, and then classes start on the 12th of January. So yeah, so it's very, very close to starting. So a wee bit nervous, but just sort of it'll be a big change, to be honest. But I'm ready for it and can't wait to go, because it'll give you time. It gives you 9 months till your first game. So it's a good opportunity to develop and sort of hone in on your skills. And yeah, I just can't wait to get over there and sort of prove myself and show everyone what I'm about.
Nice. Do they have other kickers on the roster? I mean, is this kind of like an open competition? Because universities have like walk-ons, right? So
yeah, so all that I know of, they have a kicker committed, David Green. Met him, like really nice fella, and they have. So I'm more going as a punter. So that's sort of the difference. So kicker obviously kicks field goals, and punters, like for people that don't know, try and like flip the field and everything's sort of out of your hands. So I'm going as a punter, so I have to compete with a guy called Jacob. He's an Australian guy, so there's a lot of Australians sort of do the same thing as what Irish people are doing. So have to compete against him, which will be tough, but hopefully I'll get the job done and be there in the Aviva.
Yeah, fingers crossed it goes well for you, man. It's going to be an exciting time for sure. And then so just to finish on that, then you're also doing classes. So like you'll be a university student, and then kind of, is that playing sports on the side, or does sports kind of take priority?
I think it's sort of like UNC is actually, I think, quite like sort of a smart university. Like I'm sure they all are, but UNC is quite high on education. So obviously it's probably just going to be 50-50. Like they'll care as much as your education about your football, because you're a student athlete. So you're probably going to have to be maintaining your grades while playing football at a high level. So yeah, I'll be taking classes. Not looking forward to that.
All right. Okay. Well, opening the conversation a bit more broadly on the college football, Adam, you're more than welcome to kind of give your 2 cents on these. You know, this is a unofficial, official Florida Gator podcast. We're kind of waiting for the college football playoffs to begin. Me and Lauren spoke in depth last week. Obviously, we covered the Heisman, the final playoff rankings, and we're now heading into, in the coming week, the playoff football has arrived. But before we go there, Lauren, DJ Lagway. I mean, I know you've just been dying to talk about him this whole time. The so-called savior of Florida football, he's out the door. He's leaving.
Well, okay. So he's like saying that he's going to enter the portal, and I fully believe that he will, because now it's like all of these I mean, the portal also doesn't open until January 2nd. Like that's the official day that the portal will open. And so all of these players can say that they're going to do this and that. I fully believe that he will leave, because just kind of like how it's worked is the new coaching staff with Sammo coming in, and all of the coaches that he's bringing in for offensive and quarterbacks coach, this and that and the other, like they have a plan for next season. They're trying to execute this plan. And the way that I understood it is they weren't so much including DJ in that plan. And so he wants to leave. Like he asks them, you know, what's the plan for next season? And they basically tell him, like, in shorter words, like, you have to prove yourself. And to him, he doesn't think he should have to. But after the season he just had, I don't know why he would think that. So my mind is telling me that he basically did not want to have to work to be like the starting quarterback next season, but he also just wasn't in the mix for the plan that they have going forward. So if that's what it is and that's true, then like I can see why he would want to leave. But he also seems to think that he's better than having to prove himself to these new guys. Like that's just not how it works when you throw more interceptions than you do touchdowns. I mean, you got to kind of prove it to your staff. He will be like one of the best available quarterbacks if like when he goes to the portal, but after his performance this season, I don't see him going to another like high ranked SEC school again, to be honest with you. A lot of people are saying that he's going to join Billy Napier at James Madison, which is also in the playoffs right now. Don't know if that's actual, like people are just kind of saying that, a lot of speculation. I'm okay with him leaving, to be honest, because it just kind of opens the door for new talent to come in and see what our new staff can do with him. I think that DJ thinks that he's better than he is, and so he can take that somewhere else. I don't really need it in my program. Let someone else take his place, and they'll probably be better. It's not that hard to throw more touchdowns than it is interceptions, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is something we touched on earlier on the podcast, but maybe the sensible entitlement that comes with NIL. If he's driving around campus with his Lamborghini and his $20,000 Louis Vuitton shoes, maybe he just feels like, despite his touchdown interception ratio, that he is just good enough, that you shouldn't have to second guess his quality. But he hasn't been good enough. Like, let's just be real here. Like, he hasn't been good enough to start. He hasn't been a good SEC quarterback, despite his, incredibly high rating coming out of high school. He just hasn't really lived up to the hype. And I think, from Florida's perspective, like new head coach, probably in good time to bring in a new quarterback as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, and he's, like I said, like he's not really keeping anyone, like, and that's on him. He's made very, very good hires so far. And so I'm trusting everything that he does. And if he says that he wants to see more out of DJ, he needs to prove himself a little bit to ensure that he's in the plan for next year. And then DJ just thinks that he shouldn't have to do it. I'm going to trust Summerall's decision that he's going to go for a guy who's going to prove himself and wants to be the best that he can. I fully believe that DJ loves the Gators. I think he wants to stay a Gator, but it's just not in the cards for him right now where that's what's best for him. And like, I can respect that.
Any preference on any quarterback to step into the Gator role next year?
If I could have it my way, like I really wanted, obviously Clark Lee is not leaving Vanderbilt, and the way that Diego Pavia has been acting, nobody wants him now anyway. But I would say that Dylan Raiola is probably the number one choice. I think he's a great quarterback, and to go from Nebraska to Florida is a huge change, but I feel like he could do it. And the talent that he's up against in the SEC is obviously very different than the conference he's in now, but I think that'd be a good get for us. We just keep hiring, like we keep getting good hires. And so like a quarterback now, like we've been talking about so much, college football is basically like a hire now, even though like they're students, they're not professional athletes, but they're getting to that point. So getting a new quarterback is kind of like getting a new hire, and he would be a good one, I think.
Yeah.
About Colin Hurley at LSU, was asked to go out on the transfer portal as well. LSU's a mess. He needs to get out. You might as well go from one mess to another.
Yeah, if DJ Lagway were to if DJ Lagway left Florida to go to LSU, he would be the most hated man in Gainesville. Like everyone would probably burn their DJ Lagway jerseys. I'm not gonna lie.
Just do a swap. Stop being just do a swap. It's fine. They deserve each other then. So
yeah, you're right.
That would be Lane Kiffin and DJ Lagway breaking your heart in the same season, Lauren.
Yeah, it's whatever. They're both proving that maybe I don't want them in the end. So like maybe that's what LSU will be.
Okay, looking forward to the college football playoffs then. Finally, we did begin this whole kind of show basically coming towards the end of the season, and finally the payoff is here. The playoffs have been made. The top 12, too much debate, which I think is to be expected. I did speak with Lauren last week. We discussed maybe, Lauren's a fan of a top 4, which does leave to competitive teams. But for those who don't know, there's a basketball college playoff out there. It's called March Madness. They have 68 teams in it. Maybe 64 college football teams is not the go, but the 12 is what's done now. So the top 4 have gone automatically through, and we've got games seeded from seed 5 to seed 12. So I think with those games literally right around the corner, they're coming up this weekend. We may as well cast an eye. Adam, are you a gambling man? You like to predict on sports or no?
No, not really. Wouldn't be into that there.
Okay. Well, we'll ask you for a few predictions anyway. And on the off chance you might get it right.
Hopefully so.
So the first game coming up, the aforementioned James Madison University. Now, there are two schools that made it into the playoffs. You know, there's certain rules there. They're conference champions, but at the expense of pretty competitive schools like Vanderbilt, Notre Dame have missed out. And that has caused all sorts of controversy in America. Notre Dame stepped away from their bowl game obligations. You know, and every year there seems to be the same debate coming around, like what should they do? Because there are obviously good teams and good schools missing out, but this is the final 12. So we have James Madison playing Oregon, and James Madison obviously being the 12th seeded team, Oregon being the 5th seeded team. So essentially they're being seeded as the best team in this round. Is there any hope for James Madison in this game?
No.
Don't think so.
No.
No, they're a competitive team, but they're not competitive enough to go up against Oregon.
No.
Okay.
Oregon is strong. Too strong.
Okay, we're going across the board there. We're going Oregon. Okay, the next game, I think this is, I mean, if you're looking across the slate of games, this has to be the one to watch. It's Alabama playing Oklahoma, the Sooners against the Crimson Tide. And not only that, but the winner of this game actually goes on to play Indiana, of course, 13-0. Heisman winner, Mendoza at quarterback. So, I mean, actually, this is probably the best game of this round. And whoever wins this will be playing an incredible game against Indiana. So, personally, I like Alabama. But, Lauren, I know you're a big fan of John Mateer.
Yeah, I did mention this last week, though, is that I think that Oklahoma could pull off the win, but they have already beat Alabama this season. And like I said, like it's hard to beat Alabama twice. And they know what they're going up against. And Ty Simpson is a really good quarterback. And like, there's no hate to Kalen DeBoer. They have a great team. But I want to see Oklahoma win. I think that they can do it. It's just going to be a much tougher game than it was in the regular season. Because like I said, it's very hard to beat Alabama in general, but to do it twice, like, you know, that's a lot of preparation going into that. And you know what the stakes are. Because if you lose, you know, obviously you're done and you let Alabama go forward, but then you win and you have to go up against that 13-0 Indiana. So like their fight starts a lot earlier than some of these other teams.
I think Oklahoma at home, no?
What?
Got home advantage? Oklahoma got home advantage?
Yep.
Yeah.
When it's this tight, I feel like and I hear you, beating anyone twice in any sport, to be fair, at any point is not always easy, but I think the home advantage in the playoffs can always play a little tight, like just tip it over the edge, I think. But this is a great game to watch. I mean, what a way to start it for me. I think this is a great game, but just gonna go with Oklahoma.
Yeah. I'm taking Oklahoma.
Okay. Adam, we're gonna have to push you for an answer on this one.
I think they're the 8th and the 9th seed, so it's I think it's a very even game. And I think I saw something earlier. It was like Alabama haven't been beaten, I think beaten twice by the same opponent in the same season since like 1863 or something mad. So like I think like just going off that there, I think Alabama might get it. Ty Simpson, maybe not a great season, but I think he's gonna get the job done against John Mateer at Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's look at the stat of like how many times Alabama. I don't think that they should even be in the college football playoff because they're the only team with 3 losses. So like any of those 3 losses, like imagine they had to do that again, but now they'll have to with Oklahoma. Like any of those previous years, like they haven't had to face an opponent of Oklahoma's ranks twice in a season. That's my only thing. But like, you know, it is very hard to beat Alabama, and it's hard to beat Alabama anytime. But like playoffs, the stakes are higher for both teams. It's going to be a really, really good game.
There are people listening to this, right, where they're like, oh, that's a great stat there. They haven't lost to someone twice since the 1800s. And Lauren comes in, bats it over the net with another bit of
No,
everyone's
good
like,
fact. I mean, I didn't know that.
That's class. Yeah, there's people like, no, I'm leaving this game alone now. That's it. Betting slips.
Is there any kind of recency bias? So you mentioned there Alabama have 3 losses. So for context, for people who may not understand, you have to win a lot of games to make the playoffs. So obviously Indiana have been undefeated all season. They've won 13 out of 13 games. And after that, you have teams, generally 1-loss teams, 2-loss teams. And as you mentioned, Alabama have 3 losses. So this debate comes up at this time every year when the playoffs, when the rankings are released. Does Alabama benefit from, historically, they've been a very good team, the Saban era of the last 15 years. Alabama, just the NFL is just full of former Alabama players across, from quarterback to safety. Every NFL roster has Alabama players. Does that help Alabama's case? So they've lost 3 games, but they've made the playoffs. Does that history bode into the playoff kind of the ranking and the ranking makers' opinions?
It shouldn't, but it does. I think it does. It shouldn't.
Yeah, no, I'm saying no, like it shouldn't.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be honest, it has. It has done. We've seen that. But that can't continue, because the whole point of bringing in those extra teams, going from 4 to 12, was to give obviously people the rightful chance to be in the playoffs. You can't just do that. And we know when it was 4, if you lost a game, you're in trouble. Like throughout the season, like to try and get in that top 4. So I don't think it should. It's being used the wrong way. It's like a little bit of a safety blanket for those that do lose 3 games and get into the playoffs. In this case, obviously Alabama. So I don't think it should be used that way. We've spoke about those teams that should have been probably looked at ahead of Alabama and a couple of other teams at this point. But yeah, it's that history, isn't it? Like, would it still, I guess the question is, would it still be exciting if Alabama and others weren't in there? Would we be talking about this game in the same way if it was another team? It's things like that, but I don't agree with it. I feel like there are better sides that should have been in the playoffs at this stage. And it sends a bit of a message, doesn't it? And it almost protects programs when it comes to players' attraction. Because you might not have the best season, but it's like, well, if I'm at this team, there's probably still a chance we make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to think about as well.
Yeah, I mean, they are the only team with 3. Like even James Madison, they're 12-1, and Tulane is 11-2, and every other team in the playoffs has 1 loss or 2 losses, and they're to each other. Like that's the competitiveness of all of it. Versus Alabama having 3. As much as I love to vouch for the SEC, like ESPN does it even more. ESPN loves SEC. They're gonna want them in the playoffs. It looks better for them when there's more teams. I don't get it. Whatever. But I just think that this year, normally I feel like Alabama slips in because they are a talented team and they always have been. It's just the legacy that goes along with the logo. But this year was the first year where I'm like, you lost to Florida State at the beginning of the year. You looked awful. Like that was really bad. I mean, yes, it was the first game, and obviously the ones at the end of the season matter a lot more because you're playing a lot more competitive teams. So those losses are more earned. But those other 2 losses, they were more earned. But that first one to Florida State, everyone was like, Alabama's done. They've lost their touch. Florida State is back. Thankfully, they weren't. But in general, like looking at the rest of their wins and the rest of their loss throughout the rest of the season, that's why they got into the playoff. But I still don't agree, because when you have a loss like that's why Texas didn't get in. They lost to us. That's bad. You lost to the Florida Gators. Come on. This season especially, that looks really bad on you. That's why Texas wasn't going to get in. If they had won that game, Texas would have been 10-2. They probably would have gotten in the playoffs. And if Alabama were still at the 10-3 that they are, and Texas beat us and they were 10-2, they would be in instead. But that's just not how it worked. But no other team was going to slip in with that 3-loss record except for Alabama. They get to be in it.
What was Vanderbilt? 10-2.
10-2.
Yeah.
And I think actually, speaking of legacy, that actually worked against them, because Vanderbilt have historically been kind of the whipping boys of the SEC. Now, Lauren mentioned Clark Leah earlier. He has kind of turned the program around. Obviously, Diego Pavia was a Heisman nominee. But I think based on, credibility, Alabama kind of got in over Vanderbilt, right? Because I think the argument there, and I agree with you on this one, Sam, like, it's just like people will presume that Alabama will just play better football in the playoffs. Like, it's a bigger game. Having the Alabama logo in there, it's just a bigger deal than having the Vanderbilt Commodores. Okay, Pavia's kind of a bit of a headliner this season, but I think historically they're benefiting somewhat by the kind of the legacy, as Lauren said.
Definitely.
Next game, Tulane, again, another conference champion there. and Ole Miss, who we have decided as a podcast we don't like them anymore because Lane Kiffin didn't go to Florida. So and Tulane also currently have the head coach who will be enrolling at Florida. So a game that, although the Gators are not playing, kind of a game that the Gators will be, I'm sure, keeping a close eye on. The head coach they missed out on versus the head coach they're getting. I mean, Ole Miss surely have to win this ball game, right?
No. Tulane plays so competitive. I think that they're going to underestimate them a lot. There's a reason that they made it in, and there's a reason that they are playing in such high. I mean, they're 11-2. Yes, their conference is a lot different than the SEC that Ole Miss is obviously in, but Tulane is very, very, very competitive. Like, Summerall has done a great job there, and I don't think that it'll be as, everyone thinks that it's not going to be close at all, that it's going to be a shootout, that Ole Miss is just going to run over Tulane. I don't think that at all. I think it will be very competitive. I think watching these two offenses go up against each other, because Ole Miss's offense, while they do get the job done in all of their games since they have one loss, while they do get the job done, it's kind of sloppy. Like, they start kind of late versus Tulane always tries to get it going right away. So the offenses going up against each other will be very interesting. The defenses are both really, really good. It's the offense that I'm curious to see how they pair up against each other. It will be at Ole Miss, so they will have that home field advantage. And all of these Ole Miss fans and their players are going to want to prove that they can win without Lane Kiffin. I kind of want to see them win without Lane Kiffin, but I'm rooting for Tulane because of John Summerall.
Yep. Okay. Finally, I just want to get back to asking Adam a few questions while we have him here. But we'll cover the final playoff game. The University of Miami and Texas A&M. Another quite interesting game there. Who are we backing for that one?
I fancy Miami.
Really?
A&M.
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to go A&M as well.
A&M as well, yeah.
I think this is the ballsy one for me. I think, if I'm going to say that correctly and not get cancelled for saying ballsy. But, yeah, I feel like there's an upset coming, and I think it's this game. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, I like that.
Because it isn't going to be Tulane, so I'm just throwing it out there. There's got to be an upset during this time. So yeah.
Sorry, go on, Lauren.
Oh, I was just saying, I don't know. I mean, the spread's only at 3.5, and Texas A&M has been competitive all year. They only have the one loss, and they were undefeated until Texas beat them in that rivalry weekend. And Miami has been known to blow games that they shouldn't. And I think at the end of the day, Marcel Reed is a much better quarterback than Carson Beck.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, actually. Adam, you got a take on this game?
Not particularly. I just sort of think it'd be a very sort of even game. I follow a bit of college football, but when it gets like that, I'm not sure. But just sort of seeing Carson Beck at Miami transferring this year, had a good year, but I still just think Texas A&M will have the edge on them.
Yeah. So just going through these kind of programs now and mentioning a variety of different teams, I'm just curious, Adam, I don't know if you're able to talk about this now that you've committed, but did you receive offers from other programs, or what was that like?
No, well, to be honest, my just two offers were UNC and Penn State. So they were the only two I sort of had in contact with. You obviously had coaches sort of reaching out to you, but nothing was sort of on pen, on paper. So Penn State and UNC, definitely they were just the only two offers that I did have, and sort of two great programs, but UNC the better program.
And I just want to you can give us as much information as possible here, but just about the decommitment, because I'm curious about how this works. It's something that you often read about in the media, but for you specifically, so what happened was you had intended to play with one school, with one university, and then you decommitted. So you stated that you weren't going to play for them, and then you signed with another university, essentially. Is that, what was that like for you? Had you kind of made connections already with Penn State? What does that, committing to one university and then decommitting from the same university, how does that look?
So basically just obviously I was committed and sort of like was set on Penn State, but just unfortunately James Franklin, who is the head coach, got fired, and just sort of it left sort of a bit of uncertainty around sort of my situation. Obviously, like I could have still played there, and just like then I can open up my recruitment, and I just decided to do that there, not very publicly, but just sort of decided to open it up. And sort of UNC and Bill Belichick. So UNC special teams coordinator is Coach Billy. He's called Billy Miller. He would have been the head coach at IMG. He would have had a good relationship with Tig, my coach, just because Tig would have done the IPP at IMG Academy in Florida. So that just sort of, there was a previous relationship there. And whenever he found out that sort of I was opening up things, like he sort of got on to Tig. And just sort of the process was that just sort of I decommitted, sort of thanked everyone at Penn State for the process and how they sort of handled me, because like great people there, sort of made good relationships, but just decided if I'm going to be moving halfway across the world, I just need to be at a situation where it's sort of like a bit more like a concrete, sort of knew what I was going into and knew who I was dealing with, and it was good that sort of Tig knew someone there already. And when I went over there, it was just sort of, there was a great feel about the whole place. So that's how it was. And then signing day was 2 weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago today. So then I was able to sign for UNC on signing day. So that, and then just now fully committed to them, and then going over here in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
You received anything from Penn State? Like, do they send you anything in advance once you commit as well that you now have to put in the trash can? So do they give you like, once you commit, what do you get? You get like a formal paperwork? Is there things that obviously come to you, whether it's hats, t-shirts, whatever that may be? So I'm just wondering what you then do with all that stuff when you then decommit. What do you do?
I didn't get a whole pile. At a few bits of Penn State gear when I went over there, and had a few letters, and they all sort of made their way to the bin. But yeah, because the UNC stuff is more important. I can't wait to get a load of gear. The family have a few bits of UNC gear, so they're definitely they wear the emissary all the time. But yeah, all that stuff sort of moved to the side because I've got a more important thing to focus on right now. UNC. So yeah, they're all in the bin there.
And then just for any young lads listening, anybody in Ireland or the UK, if they're inspired by your story, I think it's amazing, to be honest. Like what would you advise them? Just not down the line, but like first few steps. If there's anybody listening or watching and thinking, I want to do exactly what that guy has done, what would you tell them? The kind of first 1, 2, or 3 things to start them on that journey.
So yeah, basically the first thing is sort of like the people and the company that sort of helped me through all this was Leader Kicking. So like literally it's as easy as going on to Instagram and messaging Leader Kicking if you're from Ireland, UK, or anywhere in Europe. Literally you're a text message away and you're a flight away from literally coming out to Ireland and trying your hand at American football kicking. So like my advice to sort of younger people, so I'm only 18 years old, so I started when I was like 16. So like it doesn't really matter what age, but if you think you've got a good strike of the ball, like you literally have to send a message on Instagram to Leader Kicking. Like it's as easy as that. And if you sort of get into the process and you're hooked and you like an American football, like just go for it. Like I just went for it. I didn't care what anyone said about anything. Like people are saying like, oh, American football, it's not normal. So people they didn't think it was normal, so they didn't like look at it correctly. So like I just think just like keep at it, because it's an amazing sport and it's so different, and it provides great opportunities for young people to go over and sort of live their dream of playing in front of like thousands of people. And yeah, it just opens up so like amazing opportunities. So yeah, just literally it's as easy as sending an Instagram DM to Leader Kicking and sort of starting that process, and just like train hard and do everything that'll give you an advantage to hopefully go to Division 1 college.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, for you to go through that whole process in 18 months shows that it really is available to anybody who was kicking a football growing up.
Yeah, like it's sort of in such a short time space you can get serious results. Like just you have to commit to it quite a lot, and sort of it takes over your life, but it's well worth it. knowing that for the next 4 years you get your education paid for and you're literally living the life of like it's amazing. It's an amazing life. So yeah, it's not easy, but like the process of sticking at it it's easy to get into, and it's like it's available to anyone in Ireland, UK, and Europe, and everywhere else. So
Yeah.
Adam, punting, I gotta say the punting bit was the most difficult bit I found. I just couldn't get to grips with it. If anyone wants to queue up the tape, I'm happy to share me doing 40-yard field goals. I'm happy to show people I've got that. But the punting bit, that was hard. I just couldn't get the technique down at all. And actually, it was an Australian kicker there actually on campus then, and he was showing us it's called a banana kick, and he tried it and it was wild. And I was like, how's he even doing that? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave you guys to that. But the punting bit, honestly, it's a great skill, mate. And yeah, what an unbelievable opportunity to go and have that, especially with Bill Belichick as well. Probably stay out of his girlfriend's frat parties. Yeah, but yeah, what an opportunity, mate. Great food and the home of Krispy Kreme, just in case you didn't know, mate.
Yeah.
North Carolina.
I'm gonna stay away from that.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Adam, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure there's even just one young lad out there who will draw some inspiration from your story. And you mentioned Charlie, and I'm sure people will be mentioning you soon enough as kind of trailblazers. Like, to be honest, Dan Whelan, who's a punter for the Packers, he's mentioned a lot. Now Charlie, and I've no doubt that you'll be up next. So fair play to you. And honestly, I really hope the move goes well. And I'm sure I'll be at that game in Dublin in next year. So hopefully we'll see you there kicking and punting.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Well, yeah, I just want to thank you all for sort of taking time out of your day to talk to me and share my journey, and hopefully it inspires at least one person to sort of become the next person to do this and sort of create a good legacy of Irish kickers kicking well over in America.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
Lauren and Sammo, we'll see you next week. It is Christmas next week, but we will have college football to discuss, and we will have playoff games to discuss. So thank you guys for being here as always, and see you guys next week.